Thanks to the resub Moose. Now, before diving into the Titanic submarine story, I want to ask a quick question that I know I'll find the answer to eventually. So, as I understand it, this is an extremely expensive adventure where you go to this company, they send you down in a submersible to explore and go through the Titanic. I think it's like $250,000 per person per seat or whatever. I think it's $250K per person. And they've now lost contact. It is $250K, okay. And they've lost contact with the submersible now. So it's been a scramble to try and like locate it, find them, and get them out. My question is, and this is going to sound like an actual child asking it, but I'm not. This is going to be shocking. I'm not a fucking submarine scientist here. I'm not a nautical engineer. If they lost communication with the ship, why can't they just immediately surface? Like, just go straight up? Why not? Why not just be like, okay, we lost communication. We're a little lost here. We're just going to go up. What stops that? Oh, okay, so there's not like an actual answer yet. We don't know. So pressure, they could just be like actually like completely malfunction down there from pressure, mechanical issues. Okay. I didn't know if there was like some kind of it's something that I was overlooking. Like I didn't know if it was just a communication blackout or something. Okay, that makes a lot more sense then. Like I said, I haven't looked into this like at all. So I was just wondering like, oh, we lost communication. We don't know where they are. And immediately my mind went to why not just surface? So okay. If it's so we just don't know. It could be mechanical issue, could be pressure, shit like that. Gotcha. Thanks to the resub Sizzle, Epic, Lang, and the gift sub Pickle, the resub Pickle. Now, one other thing that I think is important that we go into this with the knowledge of is this CEO sounds like a fucking maniac. Now, I do recognize that he is reportedly on this vessel as it's missing, so there is potential that he's dead. And it sounds like that's almost entirely his fault. I read this about him earlier. So, there were already problems with this submarine, apparently. So, in 2018, there was a lawsuit about it being a potential danger to passengers. And then I also read a tweet from someone who went on it a while back and wrote an article about how cool the technology was. And then they admitted that even when they were on the submarine, they got lost for 5 hours. And he's like, oh, we got lost for 5 hours, but, you know, everything turned out okay. It's like, well, what the fuck? Why didn't you write about that? Like, we could have prevented a tragedy if more people knew how fucking dangerous this was. You were still selling it as a really cool adventure, but you got lost for 5 fucking hours? So there were all kinds of red flags here. And the CEO at some point, I don't know if it's in this article, I haven't read this one. At some point, the CEO said that the safety requirements for the submarine were obscenely strict, complaining that the safety was overbearing. Like he was complaining that things were too safe. So it sounds like he was a corner cutter in order to save a little bottom dollar. Which I thought was crazy to complain about safety regulations, saying that it was too safe. Man added fucking danger to his adventure. Safety. Wait, there's no way that's a real quote. Safety is a total waste. No, I think the quote was safety. The safety regulations are obscenely strict. Here, why don't I just Google it? Oh, obscenely safe. Here it is. Boss of missing Titanic submersible once called his industry obscenely safe. The daredevil inventor is understood to be on board the submersible that lost contact with the surface last week. That is the last person I would want manning my fucking Titanic deep sea adventure. The daredevil inventor. Jesus Christ. That's such a wild thing to complain about, too. The industry being obscenely safe. I can't get over that. But it is a very dire and very serious situation. There is a good chance that they're either dead right now or will be shortly. They can't find them. Last I heard, there are only about 30 hours left on oxygen as of like a couple hours ago. Oh, here we go. Rush said that there have been no injuries in the field for decades, adding, "It's obscenely safe because they all have these regulations, but it also hasn't innovated or grown because they all have these regulations." What the fuck do you mean? Like the regulations aren't an inhibition to growing the industry. They're there to protect people. Man thinks that you need to go down there with like some rackety piece of shit in order to really innovate. Thanks to the resub Chris Step and the Prime Pansy and the resub Tease Sound and Josh. Before people complain about it being controlled by a Logitech controller, they almost definitely had backups, and controllers are used for a lot of scientific and military systems such as drones, submarine periscopes because of their ergonomic and intuitive design. The design sucked for many reasons, such as the under-engineered window and lack of escape hatch. That's another thing of prerequisite knowledge here. I saw this all over Twitter, so I had to look this up at least a little bit because so many people were arguing. It was controlled by I think it was a $20 Logitech gamepad, which is apparently industry norm in military equipment and other high-value vessels. That's not uncommon. So that's not a... It's a little goofy to read about, but it's apparently industry standard. Oh, hey, Ken. Hope you're doing well. No, it is a very real thing. Hold on. They use it for drones in the military, too, from what I was reading. Or some drones in the military, from what I saw. Yep, this is from 2 months ago. The US military will fight the next big war with an Xbox-style video game controller. And it's just literally using Xbox controllers. They legitimately use these for very high-tech shit. But it is really wild to read about that. I had no idea till today. It's not like I had this knowledge beforehand. Why not a PS4 controller? I don't know, brother. You're asking the wrong guy. I also wonder if third-party controllers can give you like a boost if you have like the extra little toggles on the back that used to be illegal in professional Call of Duty. Like little paddle shifters or something. Thanks for some Splash Fire and Zeb. Easy to train new recruits because everyone already uses it. Interesting point. The Xbox controllers have better aim assist. Yeah, I suppose so. Alright, let's read about this. Because I'm very curious on exactly what all's going on here. I imagine the BBC probably has pretty in-depth reporting on it. Before the 5-person crew of a missing submersible vessel began to descend to the ocean floor, they first had to be locked inside by a support crew who sealed it shut with bolts. A search is now underway to locate the small, deep-diving vessel, which is operated by the marine company Oceangate Expeditions after it lost contact while diving near the wreckage of the Titanic. Okay, so it's called the Titan Submersible. While Oceangate has operated a sister submersible called the Cyclops since 2015, the Titan was expressly built by the company to allow tourists to visit the wreck of the Titanic. According to the company, the Titan weighs 23,000 pounds and has aerospace standard 5-inch thick carbon fiber hull reinforced with 2 dome titanium end caps. All of that means nothing to me. You basically just got me with like a glorb hole thing there. I don't know really what any of that necessarily means, to be honest. I know what a hull is, and I know what pounds are. Okay, so this is just going over like the general design. While it is bigger than competitors, passengers are required to sit on the floor with limited room to move around. Yeah, that's the scariest part of submarines in general. I think there's almost nowhere more miserable to be in the entire universe than in a fucking submarine. You can't go anywhere. It's very cramped. It's always dark. Well, I mean, I guess it's not dark because of like lights being on inside, but like you don't get any like actual sunlight or anything. It's just completely in a void, and it's so cramped. That's why I always feel like the nuclear sub-operators and shit in the military are actual psychopaths. Like, to endure that, you've got my deepest level of respect. Like, Jesus Christ. Those are some crazy conditions. The Titan has around 96 hours of oxygen reserves on board, but this will be affected by the breathing rate of the crew. Okay, that's pretty scary. So, like I said, last I checked, there was about 30 hours of oxygen left. Much of the interior, the company admits, consists of several pieces of off-the-shelf technology, which it says help to streamline the construction and makes it simple to operate and replace parts in the field. I don't know. To me, that doesn't sound like extremely nice. Like, that wouldn't build confidence for me. I'd like to hear that these parts came directly from like the finest forges in Mordor or something, like something really strong sounding as opposed to off the shelf. Okay, this is going over how it operates. So this is talking about the controller. Pilot steers based on the instructions from with a modified video game controller. That's the Logitech gamepad. Mr. Rush, speaking to CBS News last year, said piloting the sub shouldn't take a lot of skill. Why? I feel like it absolutely should. There's people's lives at stake there. Like 10,000 leagues under the sea. You should have a very skilled pilot behind the controller of that puppy. Give me a goddamn esports pro or something. Don't just give me anybody. Thanks to the resub waffles, barbaric, and the prime kettle, and the bits Akazino. Full dive to Titanic, including descent and ascent, takes about 8 hours. Oh, here. When CBS correspondent David Pog, I think that's who I read from earlier today, took a trip in 2018, communication broke down and was lost at sea for more than 2 hours before communications were restored. Yeah, that might have been who I read from earlier. Oh man, God, this is fucking terrifying. Oceangate says it's an experimental vessel and told CBS Travel on board correspondent he had to sign a waiver to accept it has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. I understand waivers are pretty standard, but the regulatory body thing is actually surprising to me that anyone can build, or any company rather, can build a sub and just take people under the sea without any level of like safety inspection. That's a little surprising. Oh, yikes. Okay. The company explained why the Titan had not been classed by an independent body. Bringing an outside entity up to speed on every innovation before it is put into real-world testing is an anathema to rapid innovation. This guy fucking hates inspectors and safety. Why? Oh my god. Yeah, we don't get it inspected or approved by any kind of, knowledgeable people. I said it's good enough, so that's probably enough. Why do you keep saying check CNN? Why did something just happen? I'm still learning about what's going on here. Oh, from 9 minutes ago. Crew searching for the Titan submersible heard banging sounds every 30 minutes, and for 4 hours later, after additional sonar devices were deployed, banging was still heard according to an internal U.S. government memo. It was unclear what the bang. A Canadian P-3 aircraft also located a white rectangular object in the water. According to that update, another ship set to investigate was diverted to help research the acoustic feedback instead. Well, that sounds like good news, right? No, that's not good news? I mean, it sounds like they're alive. Like, I don't think that banging is Davy Jones or anything. Like, I mean, that it sounds like they're probably still alive. This is the resub Iron, Bangs, Bowen, and the gift sub Frog. Yeah, but if they're freaking out, they're going to be using a lot more oxygen. These are, from what I understand, these are like just rich people, not fucking hardened super soldiers. Of course they're going to be freaking out in the face of death on a submarine at the bottom of the fucking ocean. So I think they're already working under the assumption that they're consuming more oxygen than normal. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people kind of saw the writing on the wall that this wasn't extremely safe, I guess. Oh, wait, this is all they have on the story? What? That's just a general overview. Like, what happened? I understand they lost communication, but aren't they also tethered to the ship? Or is that not something they actually do? I just want, like, a full write-up start to finish here. Apparently not. Really? They're not tethered to the ship? Interesting. No, it's just too deep for that. Yeah, like I said, I'm not like a fucking nautical engineer, but I feel like aren't most of these things like tethered to the ships? Like I know when you do what's that deep sea tour? Another rich people thing? I can't remember the name of it, but they have like a giant rope that tethers it to that ship. But I guess maybe it doesn't go as deep. Thanks to resub Schmickelis and Boo and Keeg. It's just not possible at 13,000 feet. Okay, fair enough. How Oceangate built improvised submersible from camping kit and video game controller. Again, the video game controller is kind of industry standard, but what do they mean built from a camping kit? Jesus Christ. I'm going to page 2 on Google. We're taking a chance. Just give me like a full play-by-play here. Holy shit. Thanks to Prime Aerox. CBS posted a good video on this from David Pogg titled A Visit to the RMS Titanic. Okay, let me see. You said it's a total shit show? Oh, this is from 6 months ago. This isn't even that long ago.
Has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button, that's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan
What the fuck? Those pictures don't do it justice. Oh my god, this looks miserable. Holy shit. And just a single button on board like an elevator. That does not inspire confidence. I want this shit to look like the Starship Enterprise, with 1,000 different ways of controlling it. $250,000 in your crisscross applesauce in like a car trunk.